thank you for attending this session. Can everyone see my screen? Just give me a
Yeah.
thumbs up.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So today's panel discussion is all going to be all about Florence Nightingale Day and how we can plan sustainable Florence Nightingale Days. But first, a little bit of an introduction. So, about myself, I am a postdoctoral fellow at York University, but I'm actually a CANSSI postdoctoral fellow. So, CANSSI is the Canadian Statistical Sciences Institute, which is why I have their logo on the front slide. But also, they have very tight ties with Florence Nightingale Day, and we will be discussing that a little bit throughout this panel. So, who exactly is Florence Nightingale? Well, she was a woman who was born in 1820 and she passed away in 1910. And she is very well known as the founder of modern nursing. But what a lot of people don't know is that she has a lot to do with statistics as well. So she was a statistician and she used data to provide better care for wounded soldiers. She expanded this work after the war to make more broad public health improvements, but she displayed all the data that she collected visually, and she actually created the pie chart. And everyone has seen a pie chart before. This is a very popular form of data visualization. And Florence Nightingale Day is just a day to honor Florence Nightingale Day's legacy. But the main goal is to inspire girls to become future leaders in data related disciplines. This day was launched in 2018 to engage students, promote future career opportunities in statistics and data science, and to celebrate the contribution of women to these fields, very similar to this conference, actually. So, this event is a 1 day event for girls age 13 and above, and it includes trivia games, panels of professional and student speakers, networking, and hands on activities. Today, we have 4 panelists from both Canada and the US, and I'm going to have them all introduce themselves right after this. And they're just going to share their experiences and reflect on what it takes to make Florence Nightingale Day sustainable long term. We're not necessarily providing solutions to that in this panel. We just want to highlight key challenges and lessons learned to help others who are planning their own Florence Nightingale Day. Or maybe we have some attendees that have thought about planning and they just need that little push and maybe some starter ideas. And as I mentioned earlier, for the Canadian organizers, we will talk about the role that CANSSI plays in supporting Florence Nightingale Day. That being said, I'm going to ask all of our panelists an introductory question. So I would like each of you to go through and introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your involvement with Florence Nightingale Day. So this could include your role in organizing it, how long you've been involved, how long Florence Nightingale Day has been running at your institution, anything like that. And I'll start with the first person that I have on my list. So Joanna.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, depending on where people are at the present time. My name is Joanna Mills Fleming. I'm a professor at Dalhousie University, which is in Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the east coast of Canada. I'm also the regional directory of CANSSI Atlantic, which is one of CANSSI's regional nodes. So these tend to operate fairly separately from CANSSI, but following the lead of CANSSI in trying to have some increase access to CANSSI programs nationally or take up, depending on what it is. And in the case of Florence Nightingale Day, together with Connie Stewart, who's the chair of the statistics department at University of New Brunswick, we've been trying to sort of create a Florence Nightingale Day activity that mimics and achieves similar goals to those that Tatiana has just mentioned. So I think I'll have more to talk about that specifically in the next hour or so. So I'll leave it there for now, Tatiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Next, we have Shilly Lin.
Hi. So I'm Shirley Ling, and good afternoon, good evening, just like Joanna said, depending where you are. And I'm a professor of statistics at the Ohio State University. So in January 2018, I was the president of the Caucus for Women in Statistics, or CWS. So I met with Dana Lalonde, who was the associate executive director of ASA, to discuss a one-day event to introduce middle and high school students, especially girls, to statistics and data science as possible educational career options. And so the Florence Nightingale Day, that we just call the FN Day, was born as a joint initiative between ASA and CWS. 2 years later, we actually formed the FN Day for Statistics and Data Science nonprofit organization. And that is now a standalone organization, not attached to either ASA or CWS, but they remain as sponsors to the organization, along with other sponsors, including CANSSI that Tatiana just mentioned. So when the Event Day was launched in 2018, there were 3 sites hosting the event. OSU, or Ohio State University, where I am, was one of the sites, and I chaired the committee to organize this event. We have been hosting this event annually for the last 8 years, I guess. In about 10 days, October 25th, we are going to be hosting our 8th Event Day. So over the years, I work to recruit more sites internationally to host the Event Day, and I'm happy to see that the numbers of sites in North America, in both US and Canada, that has grown steadily. And very glad to see that the Statistical Society of Canada actually has adopted Event Day as its outreach event. And the goal is to push that out to all 10 provinces. And if you look at my co-panelists here, I think they are doing a fantastic job of doing that. However, I would really like to see the Event Day grow internationally, not just stay in North America. And so I do have a slide that has some link, if you don't mind that I share it. With the chair's permission to share it.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so oops, I don't know where that has gone. Stop sharing. Okay, so I actually cannot find it anyway. I will find it and share it in a future moment. That has a link to basically our website that has a QR code, or you can directly email us if you would like, and I will share the slide. Thank you for your attention.
Great. Thank you, Shilly. And we can definitely share that slide at the end. Next, I have Sam Satino.
Sam, I'm an assistant professor in the teaching stream at the University of Toronto, which is like in Southern Ontario of Canada. I've been on the organizing committee for our U of T, University of Toronto, Florence Nightingale Day since 2021, I believe. So we've ran it 4 years, and we're hoping to keep running it. It's been a really fun event. I just really enjoy connecting with like young students, and I feel like we usually host it on a Saturday. So the students that come in on a Saturday to a statistics or a data science department tend to be a good group of students. So it's always a fun event, and I'm happy to keep chatting about this.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. And lastly, we have Becky Lin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Becky. I'm part of the organization team for the Florence Nightingale Day here at Simon Fraser University. So I joined SFU in the summer as a teaching faculty member in the summer 2021. And in that fall term, don't ask me, to be a volunteer for this day event. And it ends up that I become the lead organizer for this day event since 2023. So 2023 will be our first time at Simon Fraser to host this day event. And it's been amazing to watch the event grow each year. So this year is our third time to host this day event at SFU. So my main duty involves coordinating our fantastic volunteers and organization teams, and also try to come up with some fun and engaging activity. And meanwhile, I also work with the SFU outreach officer to connect with local schools. So it's always it's a rewarding experience to see students discover the beauty and the real world impact of statistics and data science through the day event. I really enjoy it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Becky. Now, the way that this panel is going to work is we are going to go through and talk about some questions that we have, and I'll have the panelists answer them and give their insights until about 2:40 or 2:45. And then for the last 15 minutes, we can take any questions from the audience. So I have also planned a Florence Nightingale Day, and one of the largest challenges that I found was in terms of recruitment. So the first question that I'm going to ask to the panel is, how do you find and recruit students to come to your event, especially those students who might not otherwise consider statistics or data science? And feel free to share maybe some strategies that worked well, some strategies that didn't work well. So anyone who wants to tackle this first, just do the raise hand. So Sam, you can go
Sure.
ahead.
So for us, the event is paired with CANSSI Ontario, as Tatiana had mentioned at the beginning of the talk. And CANSSI Ontario happened to have a list of not teachers, but school, I guess contacts at schools, so within the greater Toronto area. So they had emailed schools, I guess, about that to inform them about the event that was coming up. But I have done other outreach events that aren't directly affiliated with CANSSI, and I just want to point out that it is really challenging, at least within the Ontario education system, to get a list of teacher contacts. So me personally, when I run outreach events, especially new initiatives, I've now started to develop my own contact list that I use them to kind of reach out to, and I done that through different forms of kind of essentially word of mouth collection. So if I go to a school and I'm promoting something, or I go to an event, I keep a list of all those contacts, and that's how I promote new initiatives. So that's what I would recommend to someone who's completely starting fresh with the Florence Nightingale Day.
That is great advice. Next, Becky.
Okay, so this is a very good question first. So at SFU, we do two things. The first will be at the institution levels. Our SFU outreach team will send up a flyer to all the schools that we can reach. And meanwhile, we also have a team come from the CANSSI, part. They will help us try to get a list of the local schools. And one approach that works really well for us is we sending out personalized invitation to all the school and to all the math teachers. And meanwhile, in that invitation, we offer them transportation and free lunch. And this turned out to be really important because these small things remove a lot of barriers school face. So when deciding whether to participate or not. So I found that the transportation, also free lunch, solved a lot of problem regarding recruiting high school students. And meanwhile, we also offer open course for self sign up on our year's day event. And usually we will have some students come from this stream, not that much, but still we open it up just in case some student really interested in this day event, but there is no teacher to guide them here. Yeah, so that's what I found.
No, that's great. Definitely working with specific classrooms and giving them transportation is good. A follow-up question that I actually had for Sam is, how do you encourage the teachers to actually let the students know about the day and get them to advertise it?
I guess I don't know. I have a list of teachers that seem keen math teachers, and I try to keep in contact with them. And I don't overwhelm them with information. So I think like just highlighting this is an event that's happening and I think it'd be really good tends to go a long way, just because the list that I have curated, I feel like is now like almost like not close contacts, but contacts that kind of know me fairly well, or at least kind of know of me. Yeah.
Okay. Shilly?
Yeah, so this is a great question because we have been doing this for 8 years and it continues to be one of the most important thing that we have to come up with, keep brainstorming and come up with better solutions. And so over the last 8 years, we have been trying all sorts of things, what you can imagine. Reaching out to teachers, reaching out to schools, go to libraries, go to events that have any high school, middle school student congregating, contributing flyers to library, to all sorts of things, and even do newspaper advertisement. What we have found out that actually work through our survey are two things. One is contact with teachers. And so the way that we have done it is that we work with the Department of Education in the state of Ohio, and then send this event or as a newsletter, saying their newsletter include our event when they send to superintendents and teachers, and that was really good, big help because we got schools that would otherwise not heard about FNDA, but they would send school buses, taking students across the state, almost 200 miles long. They come to Columbus, and we have been doing that for the last 5 years because there were 2 years that we were doing that online. The other thing that we found it to be really useful was just like Sammy said, it's through the word of mouth, and that is the parents. So the parents are the best advocates for us because they see that their kids come through this and enjoyed the event. And so therefore they tell their friends and their fellow parents. So we joined the Facebook group of parents of some high schools, and we go on social media, etc. We want to befriend parents, and we even run a panel that are for the parents. So in parallel to the students panel, we run a parents panel where the parents will come and learn about the FNDA so that they can educate their kids more, as well as talk to their friends. So again, teacher and parent were our two best tools. Although we have about 10 of them, we always use them all, but these were the best.
I had never heard of those Facebook parent groups, so that's a really great point. Oh, Joanna?
Sorry, I just wanted to give you a bit of a different perspective from sort of a equitable, diverse, and inclusive lens. So what we found was that we were going to be more successful. Now, given we don't have anywhere close to the experience of Shilly and others, but in an effort to make this available to a wider range of students, we ultimately decided to take the program to the school and sort of randomly select rural high schools. And that was for two reasons. One, the one I've just mentioned, and then secondly, we didn't seem to have the resource or the funding to actually bring the students to us. So the example I'm talking specifically about would be in sort of rural New Brunswick, where there's a lot of small rural high schools sort of scattered across the province. And so our game plan is to go to the school rather than bring the students to us. So that isn't, I guess, EDI friendly in the sense that we're selecting one school, but the idea is if we could repeat this many times, then that selection would work itself out nicely. So just a different perspective, I guess, that I thought might be useful. Thank you.
No, that's great, Joanna. And I actually have done it like that before too, because I had issues with recruitment as well. Okay, So that goes nicely into our next question, which is about funding and support. So what kind of support, which could include funding, facilities, or personnel, is most critical to running an event such as this one? And where do you get your funding and TAs and personnel and all of that? Sam?
Sure. So I'll start. Like all of our funding comes from CANSSI Ontario, and part of it's from our department. We have a pretty big group of TAs. I think we usually have about 30 students and 8 TAs. So there's usually like a 3-to-1 ratio. But I would say if you're running it for the first time and funds are limited, like if you can get funding, that's great. But if funds are limited, yeah, like you probably all that's really needed are some activities and at least one person to like potentially like man each station. So just thinking about that, you could probably run Florence Nightingale Day with a few like a few staff, like maybe some teachers and the like you yourself, and then just as long as you have some activities to run, and especially if you're going into the schools, kind of like what Joanna described, or what you've done before, Tatiana, it can help with costs as well. The more funding you have, the like I guess more that you can add in. But yeah, we usually have we have a good amount of funding, but I feel like this event doesn't necessarily need a big amount of funding in order for it to be successful.
Shelley?
Yeah, so we have a slightly different model in that we are all volunteer based. So this is not affiliated with anybody. So for us, the biggest challenge actually is to find a space. And so we know that these are kids who are minors. And so therefore we need to be extremely mindful of a space which is safe environment. And this is why we decided to do that on a Saturday, because on a Saturday, we could actually secure a whole building for the purpose of this, because we don't want any kid to be lost or talking to someone, etc. And so that was our biggest challenge of trying to schedule the effing day. And we decided to do it on a Saturday, although we have gotten requests from some schools saying that Saturday was difficult for them to get the kid to come, and they would rather using this as one of their field trip if we could schedule on a different day. And we have been looking for that, and we're not able to. Now, in terms of manpower or funding, we were lucky that they were able to get some. We basically outreach to different entities within the Ohio State University, as well as our local partners, businesses, to ask them to support this worthwhile cause. And there were lots of entities actually responded to this. So we were able to get our funding. As has just been said, you don't really need a lot of money. So our funding was sufficient for us to do this at Ohio State. And we have an army of volunteers. We typically aim for 100 students. And it's not all one size fits all situation. We just happen to be at Ohio State, which is big and huge. And so therefore, we are running the event big. But so we have about 50 volunteers. Nobody get paid. There's no TA support. There's nothing, just us, the army of volunteer working on this.
Great, thank you. Next, Becky.
Okay, so basically, I think at SMU, we also have two like main funding support. One will be from CANSSI. So the CANSSI support allow us to our key logistic, like do bookings, and also catering, and also the transportation. And this makes the day event accessible to schools from different areas. And I also like to point out that the interest here is really high. That's why we try to also implement the randomization things here. For example, this year we also have a group come from the homeschool, and they're special, like, you know, I think it's under the underrepresented group, and we are really happy to have them. And one more thing would be, I'd like to, with another support from our department that make this event successful, would be, you know what, here we show our appreciation for our volunteers' time with a little like a gift card. And And it's not that much, but it changed the game totally. So that's why I would like to share this up here. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Becky. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question. And not everyone will be able to answer this, but how do you manage the workload as the event grows? So in Chili's case, for example, it started in 2018 and now it's an event that has 100 students. And what strategies have helped pass knowledge onto new organizers? So if a past organizer has left and someone new has taken over, what has been done in that case?
I guess
Shelley?
I could get started. Yeah. So as I already said, right, you can't really do it alone. I have an army of volunteers, and anybody can step in if I would say that, oh, this week I don't have the time to organize the meeting because we have committee meetings weekly about 3 weeks, 3 months leading to the event. And so someone can step in. So everybody is trained. Our committee has about 15 people who have been there since the beginning. Some left, some joined, but the core group remained. And we recruited student volunteer for running the event. Now, in terms of passing the information, we actually don't want to be just keep all the secret within OSCE. We want to spread the word. And so therefore, we have written the handbook, and I'm assuming that most of you have gotten the handbook from us that was passed to CANSSI, and CANSSI passed to other of you. Some of you may have gotten that directly from us. And basically, we provide information about logistics based on knowledge that we have gained and mistake that we have made. And we try to, make it easier for everybody who are thinking about organizing the event. That include the list of activities that one may try as well. And just, a lot of time, I know it's a lot of work and some people may get scared by amount of work, but I think it's, by working together as a group, I think that we can tackle the challenges of the workload.
Shilly, that is great. And main message from that is there is a great handbook that Ohio State University has put together. And I'm sure if anyone is interested, they can reach out and we can send them that. Correct, Shilly?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Also, Sam had to head off because her class had a midterm, but this session will still go until 3 o'clock. Becky?
Oh, I just want to add one more thing. At SFU, it's a teamwork, of course, and we're using Asana. I'm not sure if anyone here familiar with this online, project management, website. So basically, every year we try to create a project in Asana, and then there we can show all the timeline. We can also delegate like a task. You can also check it down for each task, their status currently. And one more thing about this one would be in the following years, you can also try to just copy from last year's project and edit on it. And this is a really good way in terms of project management to try to handle all the things that we have to handle together. So I highly recommend using this method because you can also put all the document there.
I have never heard of that, but it sounds super organized and a great way to keep everything together. So I want to get through 2 more questions before we open it up to everyone else. The first one is very open-ended. So looking back, what are the biggest surprises or unexpected challenges that you have encountered? Becky?
Oh, I think for me, the biggest surprise would be how quickly entries have grown once word go out. In some years, it got faster than our space and also the results that we can handle. I think we start this day event in year 2023. In the first time, we only have about 30 students. But in the second years, we got more than 120 students. So that was a really busy year for me. Yeah, that's the biggest surprise I learned so far. And that's also the biggest challenge we had.
So great when that happens though, and everyone is just so excited. Joanna?
So the challenge I'm going to mention is that when we initially decided to try this in Nova Scotia, I contacted the biggest high school, so 1,700 students, and basically the response was that there wasn't time in the curriculum to have students attend. So what's really interesting to me is that I think Shilly and others have actually addressed that challenge, and we will investigate running it on a Saturday, which is wonderful. And I think that challenge disappears. I just had one question along those lines, though. It This was something I think I already know the answer, but I think it might be useful for people tuning in. Although you have sort of a particular day when Florence Nightingale Day is this event is supposed to happen, there is some flexibility if you need to do it on a day other than the official day, is there not? Yes, I can see. Is that something, Shilly, that you support?
Oh yeah, it's really everybody can select whichever date that will work the best for them. There isn't really an official day. The first year we did have an official day that we have a simulcast of the three sites, but we didn't find it to be uh,
Very.
practical. And so therefore we say that, there's no need to uh, have to have the, sort of like align the day, etc. Everybody do that on the day that is most convenient for them.
Yeah, and I think that's just wonderful because I think that makes it so our plan is to do it again in the spring. And I think it's useful for people tuning in to know that, that is something that you can sort of coordinate locally.
Yeah, so
Oh,
uh,
did you have something to add, Shilly?
yes, I do, but I see Becky also raised her hand.
You
So
can
I
go
think
ahead
Becky
first.
go first.
Okay, so here as a view, we had hold this day event for 3 times. So the first year, we host the day event on a Friday, and it's in the springtime. I think it's in the fall term, and it's really cold. And Vancouver is another name for Vancouver is Vancouver. It rains, so that's why I don't really like it. So the next year, I propose, can we reschedule it maybe in near the end of April before May? Why? The weather is beautiful. One reason. The other reason is the week right after the final exam. Then you have enough helpers, and it works really well. So that would be at the end of the final exams, 1 week after that Friday. So I think we're gonna settle down on that day.
Yes, and that's exactly when I did it too, Becky. It was the week after the final exams in the winter term ended because people haven't gone out for summer yet, but everyone is very willing and not tired anymore. Shilly?
Yeah, so I just want to add that it's really not a one size fits all in terms of not just the day, the time, but also where you host the event. So Jana, you're going to local school, that's great. We actually the first year we had one site that actually went to a local school. Other possibility that we have considered for other site that we're thinking about, they would be going to a library, or go to a science museum. So there are lots of possibilities there. And I just want to add that for us, the challenge continue to be student recruitment. So our first year, we actually had to put student on a wait list because we reserve a room that can take 100 people. And we start getting way too many registrations that we put people on the wait list. And then we got complacent and we slack off and find out that that's really the bad idea. And we have been very vigilant in terms of recruiting students. The other challenge is to make it cool and interesting. And that's not easy for return student who some people like it and want to come, but they don't want to get bored. So we rotate our activities. For example, we don't always do one thing, we do some other things. We even have posters to engage the student who come for the second years, etc. And from anecdotal evidence, it seemed to be working well, but we are still doing our survey, trying to figure out, what really make the student get hooked and get interested in our event.
Great, thank you. So actually one small question that I want to add in, it kind of segues off of what Shilly was just talking about before I go to the final question, is how exactly do you measure the success of these events beyond just attendance numbers? So Shilly, you talked about a survey that you give out. Does anyone else? So Shilly, you can start, I guess.
So the survey, so I just maybe a tiny bit, little bit detail about the survey. One thing is that if we do survey on students, these are minors or human subjects. Minors are not human subjects. And so therefore you have to, at least in the US, we have to go through the Institutional Review Board, the IRB, to get approval for the survey that we do. So if there's such a thing, in Canada or elsewhere, make sure that you don't, run afoul of the law that if you're doing research with human subjects. So just be aware of that. And so what we did was that we have pre-survey and post-survey. Pre-survey, we ask questions and gauge their attitude towards statistic data science and their interest. And we redo the same thing after they have attended the event so that we can look at the difference between pre-survey and post-survey. And then we do our data analysis. And this can help us objectively measure what's going on through their head after they attend the event. And we also have some anecdotal, which are not scientifically measured.
That is great. And I think as statisticians and data scientists, we all very much appreciate that data analysis. For the very last question to wrap up this part of the panel before we open it up to the audience, looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest opportunities or challenges for sustaining Florence Nightingale Day in the next 5 to 10 years? And are there any new directions or collaborations you'd like to explore?
Well, I guess I'm raising my hand again.
Yeah, you
Because
can
I
go
did
first.
think about that. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll get started and everybody can chime in. So as I said earlier, I don't think that, I mean, so during the pandemic, we actually moved this 1 year, we did that online, which we open up to other or any students from the US. The second year, and we had a lot of success. We had students from over 20 states registered for the event. And then the next year, we did that as a hybrid event. So we run it here at Ohio State, but we also open up to any student in the world. And we got students from North America, of course. We got students from Europe. We got students from Asia. We got students from Africa. The only continent that we didn't get was South America. And so I think that that this shows that there are lots of interest internationally about statistics and data science as a potential, career option in the future for these youngsters. And so therefore, I would like to see that expand internationally. And this is why I think it's important for us to be doing this in IDWSDS because that's international audience. And I hope that some of them will be really get interested in this and do this. I also promote the event at the International ISI, the International Statistical Institute conference that just ended last week. I promote that as well. The other thing is that we need to get people to see that statistics is very useful. And anybody can do statistics, including high school students, if they learn a little bit about statistics. And this is why we actually organize a session here at IDWSDS. So just a little bit pitch here. The session is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, US, or 21 UTC. And so if you all have time, go and observe the students, high school students presenting their research at this venue. And the idea is that we work with local and international organizations to really try to further strengthen the FNDA. And that's really important because we cannot do it alone, right? We need a global community to help us sustain the FNDA and make it successful, not just for the North American, but for the world community.
Those are some great points, Shilly, and I also would love to see it go international outside of North America. Do Joanna or Becky, do you guys have anything to add?
For me, I think the biggest opportunity ahead locally will be expand collaboration, try connect university, high schools, and industry like partners. Because for our day event, we always invited data scientists from industry to share their experience and also share their interesting project to showcase the student how useful statistics and data science can do, can to help solve real world problems. So that's why I think, from my point of view, I think that may be something we can do to make this day event go beyond just one day. This is my personal take.
Yes, that is great. And especially, so I mentioned at the beginning in the introduction that a lot of times with Florence Nightingale Day, there's a career panel. And being in academia, sometimes it can be hard to step outside of that academic bubble and remember who is in industry, who can I reach out to? So definitely increasing the number of collaborators that we have in general is a great way to bring them in and show students what they can do with statistics outside of just statistics research.
Yeah.
Joanna?
You unmute yourself.
Sorry. In my quest to be quiet, I'm too quiet. I guess in looking forward, perhaps what I'm most excited about is has to do with what I've learned today. And rather than really focus on classrooms and teachers, I think there seems to be a lot of value in using social media and things like Facebook and to try and encourage individual participants, have it so that it spans a greater uh, group of potential participants and see how that goes. I'm quite excited to try that model. So that was very useful to hear about this afternoon.
There have been a lot of great ideas, but that is the end of the questions that I have listed. Now we're going to open it up to the audience, and you can throw any questions that you have into the chat button at the bottom, and we can ask them to our panel. If no questions come up, then I do have more, but this is the opportunity for the audience to take part in the panel as well.
So Tatiana, while they are putting their question into the chat, do you mind that I share the slides that has the QR code and the
Yes.
email address? I think I found it. Hope I am able to share. Here we go. So if you, sorry that the QR code come out a little bit blurry, but if you scan the QR code, it should take you directly to the event day where you can go to contact us to directly ask a question if you are interested in learning more or thinking about hosting your event and how that work. And the event day organization do provide $500 as a first time for first time organizers to help you defray some of the costs. And we have sites actually would only spend 200 of our $500 that we offered, and that was sufficient for them to organize the event day. They do it half day, and will just be some refreshment and stuff like that. So whatever work, that's great. Or you can directly email us, and this is the email address that you could use.
That
And I
is
can take
great.
it
Thanks
down.
for sharing that.
Yeah, and I can take it down whenever that you think that's sufficiently long that I can take this paste down.
Oh, we can just keep that up. So we don't have any questions in the chat, but I will ask you all a question because this is something that we haven't talked about yet. Can you explain what the timeline of your Florence Nightingale Day is on the actual day of the event? So what activities do you include? What panels do you include? And whoever wants to start can go.
Okay, so I will go first. So here at SFU, the day event always start with some fun and interactive icebreaker game. We don't give talk. We just start with a fun game. And after that, we have the undergraduate student panelists. So because I think it would be good to let the high school student have some feeling about, because they are at similar age. They might like to know more about what are they studying and why is it so cool? Why they, like this subject. So that's basically will be the first two events we have. And after that, we have about 190 minutes, like, interactive activities. And for these activities, we have to update every year. Because why? Because we have returning students. We don't want to get bored. And in the afternoon, we have the career panel, like a discussion. So we usually invite 5 data scientists, experts in this area from industry, and they share their story, and they can inspire the student and also give them a sense about what is the real project looks like, what kind of things the statistics and data science can help. That's our day's theme.
That is great. I love the mix of the two panels where you have the undergrad students that they can relate to, ask questions about what it's like being in statistics, but then also the career panel where they could learn about what they can do with their degree.
Yeah, sorry that when I share the slides, I'm losing the ability to raise my hand. So
that's okay.
so I have to actually physically raising my hand. So so I think that Becky, this is like, so our model is very similar to that, and that is what we have been using since the very beginning. Except that I just want to add that in our student panel, we actually have both graduate and undergraduate. The undergraduate are great. We try to get different majors. So we have statistics major, data analytic major. Sometimes we got students who are not majoring in either one, but they have been using statistics for their research. And it's great to show the kids that even if they don't major in this, they still need to learn statistics because it's going to be useful in their own work. For the professional panel, we try to get our professional women from different sectors. We typically have industry, government, and academia. That's always our goal, is to get panels from different sectors so that the student can see a wide range of problems and models which can inspire them. And we further have a campus tour because some of these students are thinking about college already, and Ohio State University is one of their targeted school they want to apply to. And we work with the admissions office, come and give a short talk, and then take them on a campus tour. And they love to see those little robots delivery food running around campus. In the last year and also this year, we also added, in addition to everything that Becky just mentioned, we also added a lunchtime students poster presentation. And we actually get the the participant to interact with the presenters, and we actually have them evaluate the posters about how engaging the presenters were, talking to them, and we actually give out prizes for that as well.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Well, the one thing that we try to do is we want, I mean, it's just one day, right? What you cannot really teach them much. What we really aiming to do is to make them feel like statistics is cool and useful. That is the two things that we want to instill in them. Nothing else. We don't need them to learn about the pie chart or whatever, just knowing it's cool and useful.
Okay, so we do have a question in the chat, and I think that Shilly will be best equipped to answer this one because it has to do with some policies in the US. So, are there any additional challenges that have been added recently because of the US administration's anti-DEI policies?
Okay, yes. So, all right. I'm happy to answer the question. Hi, let me just close the chat. All right. So, okay. Don't know what happened to the screen, but anyway, that's fine because with the share screen, sharing the screen, it's difficult to navigate. But in any case, so we actually even before the new administration taking the office actually in 2019. So 2018, when we first hosted the event, we advertised it as a female students only. And so we got all girls. And we had boys. Parents got upset that we did not accept boys into our program. And we didn't think twice about that until we talked to an entity within Ohio State who hosts a summer camp for girls. And they told us that actually we would be against the law, even at that time, if we restrict our event to only girls. So what we would say is that we are celebrating women in statistics. We honor Florence Nightingale. These are both women. These are women. However, and women, girls are encouraged to attend, but anybody else is welcome. And so with that, we actually have been advertising that way, and we do get more and more male students attending our events, which is good. We encourage anybody to attend our event. Now with the new administration banning DEI event, it makes it a little bit more challenging. I have a co-organizer who is in a different department than me, and her administration told her that she might not be able to do this because it's women-faced. And we push back. We say that our event is open to anybody, even though we are honoring Nightingale, who is a pioneer in data visualization. Men or women, we honor anybody in the history have made contribution to statistics. And so therefore our events should be allowed. And with that pushback, the university has allowed us to do this without any problem. So that was a happy ending in the end.
Yes, and even as a Canadian as well, I had recruitment issues with getting students to sign up. So we did open it up to everyone, but we found it very powerful that we had an all-women team. And the thing is that we want to promote women in statistics and data science. And a lot of the time, these girls, they don't see representation of women in statistics and data science. So the fact that we had all female organizers, all female TAs, and it was just a very powerful thing to happen. And we found that a lot of the girls were participating a lot in the sessions.
Yeah, so just to add to that, so we make a point that all our panelists, the graduate, undergraduate panel, as well as the professional panel, all have to be women because we want to showcase the contribution of women in statistics. And that's the idea, is that we want to showcase the contribution of women, but we want to open this up to anybody who want to attend. That's the main message.
Yes, that is great. So, since there are no other questions in the chat, I'll open it up for any final thoughts from any of the panelists for the last couple of minutes before we shut it down. So Shilly, if you want to say any final words to begin.
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody that it's a lot of work. I don't want to lie to you. Organizing an event is a lot of work, but you cannot work alone. You want to work with like-minded people, and it's extremely rewarding. I'm assuming that everybody here agree with me that if you have organized an everyday event, you will find it to be extremely rewarding because you connect with other women professionals. But the most important thing is you instilled the value of statistics in the youngsters, and you can, turn several minds out of your 50 or whatever, right? I mean, you have accomplished a lot. And you hear from parents, teachers saying that how wonderful this is. And I have heard personally from two parents that their daughters went into data science and statistics majors, and they had a blast. And one of them actually came as a panelist, a student panelist, to talk about her experience, how wonderful that was. And so I would encourage everybody, if you think that this is too much work, think about the reward that you would get from organizing an event. And I really would urge you to give it a shot. And we will be here helping you every step of the way. We actually have people, we recruited people who want to host a day to join our committee meeting so that they know what's going on. So please just email us or scan the QR code. I can share it again. It looks like it has ended. But that's my final words, is that I want to give you encouragement to think about doing this yourself. It has been extremely rewarding for me.
Thank you, Shilly. Becky, Joanna, do you have anything to add? No? Okay, then on that note, Shilly is sharing the QR code, but we will end the panel here and maybe clap a little for our panelists. Thank you so much for joining us. And for all of the attendees as well, thank you for being here to share our ideas. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can email the email that Shilly has shared on the screen, or in the abstract of the session, there are links that have more information as well, both the fndaystats.org as well as from the CANSSI side if you are in Canada.